pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting was called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of this meeting was sent to the Union County local source and the Star Ledger. In addition, copies of this notice was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, on the town hall doors, and the bulletin board has remained continuously posted, and proper notice having been given, the township clerk is directed to include this statement in the minutes of this meeting. Roll call. Bonanno. Here. Feuerstein.
Here.
Hyatt. Here. Joyner.
Here.
Saxon.
Here.
Rios.
Here.
S.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I get a motion for the approval of meeting minutes, February 21st, 2024.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I
I
get
have
a,
a question, Councilman.
I'm sorry, my apologies, Councilman Saxon.
I noticed in the minutes that there was some information missing. There was some information missing in the minutes.
Councilwoman Saxon, meeting minutes are not verbatim. We don't do it like verbatim, as they say.
Well, it looked like everything is pretty much verbatim.
The second page?
Right before you sign it. And I want that document from you.
Page 11?
Yes.
Okay. And just so we're clear, what did you want documented?
I'll let you hear the recording that I have. I won't bog down the meeting with it, but I would like for it to be put on record, and we can talk about that.
Okay.
But I definitely want it documented.
Any other questions on the approval of meeting minutes? All right, seeing none, payment of bills, March 5th, 2024. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions on the payment of bills?
I do have questions about the bills.
Councilwoman Saxton?
So I'm looking at the bills, and I'm trying to understand exactly what's happening here. For the appropriation reserves and the engineering services, I'm trying to figure out why we're paying bills from 2022 now. And all of these bills are going to the engineer. $18,599 from 22. $125 from 22. $10,997.51 from 23. $4,446.58 from 23. And it just goes on and on and on. So I'm just trying to figure out why we're paying those bills now.
CFO Jones?
Which page, Councilwoman?
It's not even a page number. You have to go under,
Check 23, page 23.
it's not even a page, she didn't list it.
It's the fourth page of the bill list.
These are all 23 bills. Not
No.
22.
Did you want to take a look at this one? You want to take a look at this one?
23, not 22.
2027.
No, 20.
2027.
There's an invoice column and a date column, I think that's where we're getting mixed up.
I think it's a typo. Because when you look at the invoice, it's dated 28/23.
But it goes back from
I think it was
2022.
Are you checking the JCF for John?
Yeah, I'm checking the dates on each one of them.
While you checking, has any other questions from the council members in regard to the bills?
It's a DOT grant. Grants go more than 1 year. But the actual invoice is from December 2024.
So that we can have
The actual invoice is dated December 2020. It references an old PO number, but it's
Does it look like a typo, or is it, do these need to be amended? CFO Jones,
yes.
is that a typo, or does it need to be amended? What's going on?
It's just a typo.
that many?
That's what the change
That
is.
many seconds? That's a lot.
18,000. Yeah, one for 10,997. That's also a 2023 invoice.
Use your mic on that last statement, so that.
Yeah, one for 10,997 is also 23. For the 18,000, the original purchase order was issued in 2022, but it was a 23 index.
I still understand. I can't hear you. Break it down. I mean,
So, oh,
sure.
okay. The purchase order was originally issued on,
Answer your question.
Not really, but we can move forward. Mr. President.
Any other questions from the council members?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hyatt?
We don't have page numbers as reference thus far, but my first question is regarding the budget data processing cost of $5,000 paid to Netarius Technology Solutions. What were we paying for?
On December 7th, we had a server crash. It affected clerk's office, finance office, and the tax office. So the TARS came in to help us get back online with the server. February, what did I say? December, February 2nd.
And so this is just a repair?
Restoring, the server, retrieving data.
Okay, moving on to Gen Electric, $5,460.90. Says appropriation reserves for public works.
That was for the repair of a transformer, on Hillside and Maple Avenue.
Alright, we have one more. $125,538.29. It's under grant reserves in Jersey Department of Green Acres and is payable to Lacerno Giordano Construction LLC. What did we receive for this $125,000?
That's for the improvements at Sanford and Central Avenue Parks.
I'm sorry, did you say Sanford and Central Ave?
Sanford and Central Avenue Parks.
And what did they provide us with?
It's pretty extensive, playground equipment. Yes,
And if you could say for the record what the big ticket items are and the amounts that.
the biggest, piece would be the equipment for the playground.
And how much is that?
68,000. 68,117.
Oh, yeah, I definitely would like to see a breakout of what we receive. And out to make it follow the other 60 or so.
It's probably best, Councilwoman, just to get you a copy of this. It's pretty extensive.
Any chance I could get that tonight?
Any other questions from the councilman? Councilman Hyde, are you done?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the council members?
Excellent.
Make sure Councilman Hyde gets a copy of that, as well as the rest of the council. All right, the motion's been seconded, ready for the vote. Madam Clerk?
Banana,
Yes.
Burstein,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes.
F.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. I get a motion to make all the items this evening action items.
Motion.
Get a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All in favor? Aye. Ordinance 024-06, first reading introduction. Ordinance amending the Township of Hillside Code at Chapter 122, vacant property registration and maintenance. Can I get a motion? Motion.
Second.
Any questions? Seeing
For
none.
the sake of the public, could you?
Talk to the mic, please.
Hello? So a bill was introduced in the State Assembly in February of 2020 regarding the vacant and abandoned properties. It required registration of certain vacant and abandoned properties with law. This ordinance just mirrors the existing state law. Makes it to bring it up to compliance with the state law.
Are there any changes to fees?
No, I don't believe so.
Any other?
Nano,
Yes.
Feuerstein,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes.
Joyner,
Yes.
Saxon,
Yes.
Rios,
Yes.
Epps.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. R 24-024-07, first reading introduction, ordinance establishing fees for summer. Any questions from the council members?
Again, just for the sake of this, is everyone clear on what this is? For the sake of the public, if someone could just express what this ordinance is.
This ordinance is to increase the fees for the summer camp for recreation.
Not public hearing.
Yes, but can you explain a little bit what we're doing here and what the reason for the changes?
We're increasing the overall summer camp fee from $300 to $500 to cover the expenses of running the camp and offset the cost.
By and in the township of Hillside, in the county of Union, state of New Jersey, appropriating $4,400,000 therefore, and authorizing issuance of $4,190,476 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof, and repealing and replacing bond ordinance number 02 on August 15, 2023. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Get a second?
Second.
Any questions from the council members?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hyatt.
Thank you, Council President. How did this ordinance come about?
The original ordinance from August,
The current ordinance?
we are transferring it to the library because the increase for the cost for the construction of the library has increased by $4 million.
But why would we do a transfer?
We've amended ordinance in the past, from project to project, yes, we have.
Not a question, not a question. An ordinance that we passed for an emergency situation. To use that bond and that authorization for the construction. He's saying it's gonna be at least $15 million. We got information from the state saying they're only gonna commit right now to completing 1/3. So why would we take the money from the ordinance we authorized for $4.4 million to repair a hole that still exists and is now partnered with additional holes to use for the library? I'm trying to understand why that was the thought process behind doing this.
The $4.4 million was for the emergent situation, which is being prepared by the state.
The state is preparing 1/3 of
No,
the
they're repairing the emergent hole, which is the $4.4 million, which is what we were going to bond, what we bonded for, did an ordinance for. So that emergency is being abated right now by the state.
Why that still exists? See, the question you answered. And that's the problem I continue to have. It's the same thing if it were your home. If you had a hole in your backyard and had a concern that your child might fall into it, would you take the money from that because you dumped some rocks in it and decide to buy a big screen TV? Or if you felt like you wanted the big screen TV, would you just go use your credit card and do it? This is the part I don't understand. Why are we putting two separate and completely different situations into one ordinance? Why was that the decision? Because the money is still necessary. The hole still exists. And we don't know when they're gonna fix it and what other damage is still happening. But you don't have to take the money.
$1 million to fix the entire, because that would be too much for the township to bear. We were only trying to fix the emergency. The state has stepped in to do that. There's nothing else after the emergency at the present time.
But what do you mean there's nothing else after the oppressive notice? Saying that the whole project, it says it's at least 750 feet. And it also says the state has only committed to 250 feet. You already have the authorization to bond for $4.4 million related to Ramsey Avenue. If you give me anything that makes logical sense, I can understand. But to put it toward the library needed, that's not a true statement.
Talking about Taylor's, please step in, so I can, because help me with this before you get on the project, right? Could you take it from here, please? I think we're confusing people with these statements.
Right, so Council President, you're correct, and more importantly, one has nothing to do with the other, with respect to the purpose or the goal of this ordinance. We actually did review it with, or we submitted it for review to bond counsel. We could certainly have bond counsel here on second reading to further elaborate on it, but one has nothing to do with the other. Right.
Since one has nothing to do with the other, why do you put them together? You just said one, as the President read the title, it said, bond ordinance providing for the construction of a library by the Township of Hillside in the County of Union, State of New Jersey, appropriating $4.4 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4.1 million, I'll round up to $4.2 million bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof, repealing and replacing Bond Ordinance 023-12, finally adopted on August 15, 2023. That bond ordinance references the bond ordinance that we passed to bond for $4.4 million for the sinkhole.
I think what CFO Jones was trying to explain is that it's a reallocation. So it's not, again, it's not combined, it's a reallocation using it for the purpose that he articulated.
I'm not misunderstanding that. My question is, why are we reallocating that money instead of just giving it its own money?
Sure.
That's my question. Why are we doing that? You can't say it's because of our debt statement, and I did talk to bond counsel. That was the answer he tried to give. I have all the debt statements in front of us, and I've done that. It doesn't fly. So who made the decision to reallocate instead of just getting the money for the library, separate and apart? Who made that decision and why? That's what I'm asking. I'm not asking about, oh, we're not going to use it, the state is going to do it. You sent us information. The state committed to 1/3 of the project necessary. 1/3. And if you saw it on Channel 12, they called it a massive sinkhole. So why are we doing this? When you could just bond separately for the library. Nobody's against the library, but give it its own money. And the other thing, you'll do this now and then say, okay, we'll just go out to bond later when the other $10 million or whatever portion we decide to do something with it for. And what's the cost of money going to be at that point? Because inflation is real. So why, again, I say, even for financial implications, wouldn't you just give the library its own? No, you could have had it by now. If the first reading of this document the first time was for the $4 million for the library, you would have had the first and second reading already, and you could bond for the money by today. So again, to be clear, my question is, who made this decision and why are they doing it as a reallocation instead of giving the library its own note?
To your point, Councilwoman, I try not to overburden the township's debt ratio. Didn't see logic in buying for $4 million. Additional to this $4 million that we had that we're not going to use right now. Because the emergency that this $4 million was for is being handled by the state. So to have $4 million already on the township's books, and then to add another $4 million on top of that would be overburdening the township. I try to be careful every year with the bonding that we do. But this was an emergency situation in the past few years. I try to bond for, like, say, $1 million a year. I've never overburdened the township. So to go out for $4 million when we already have $4 million available that we don't need to use right now, I don't think is prudent.
Did you go get these funds?
No, not yet.
Exactly,
It's just an ordinance.
exactly. So if it's just the ordinance, this wouldn't overburden the taxpayer, because you have not budgeted for it. We gave you the authorization to bond.
But it affects the debt ratio.
It affects the debt ratio, but that does not affect the tax.
So,
Can't hear.
Hello? All right. So for the sinkhole, are we currently paying any interest on that?
Not yet, no.
No, okay. So to do ordinance, right? But can you take me through the process of what it is to get a bond and how easy it is to bond on a project, or?
Well, it's better if you have a bond rating, which we have, an A1 rating. You get your rating confirmed by a rating agency like Moody's or Standard & Poor's. Then you go out to the market. You get your rate, and then you get the notes. What I try to do is issue notes, and then get general obligation bonds on those notes every 3 years, so as not to overburden. But that's basically the process. It's not
So let's say we reallocate this over to the library, and let's say the issue with, let's say we have another issue with the sinkhole that after the state does its repairs, we have another issue. What is the process to then get another bond for that sinkhole?
we would introduce another ordinance.
Okay.
I'll hold my own reservations about what the state should do, but we would get another ordinance.
Councilwoman Saxton?
Thank you. So I want to talk a little bit about the email that I received. It's from the clerk's office, but VP Rios. This is, I'm assuming that you wrote this email and she just forwarded it.
Which one?
It's here in your words, that the state has an emergency measure. The full project will be $15 million. So the state is saying that they're only going to repair 250 of the 750 linear feet. So that's a red flag for me. It also says here, this is for you.
Correct.
So then we go up to where it says Hillside has until 2026 to build a new library, and until June 2024 to approve the grant and get it accepted before pre-bid. So I'm definitely in favor of approving the grant. However, it looks like you do have time. I just don't want for us to rush into something without all of the details. However, I have questions, and I'm just gonna put them out there. I wanna know, what was the selection process for the contractor that has given these numbers? Because we say it's 8 million, now it's 12 million. In addition, the project brought the bid. That's my other question. Because this is a capital project, very expensive, and I wanna know about that. Again, I have no problem with supporting the library, definitely want the library. And I have no problem with supporting, accepting it has not committed to anything beyond the current work. So
And if something does emerge with the other portion of that project, then we would bond for it. And I think that's the process that CFO Jones is explaining right now. So I
who's going to
understand.
do the selection process for the contractor?
There is
Because
no current contract.
Right.
So the
where
estimate
did you get the numbers from?
is an independent audit group that came in to re-estimate the funds based on everything.
What independent article?
Should have been in the documents I sent over. But that estimate that you received today, that was from the independent audit group.
So if it's an independent audit group that came in, that's
Has to go out to bid, and then we'll determine that. That's why you get the estimates. You get the estimates so they can,
I haven't seen an estimate, this is what I'm trying to say.
we sent you multiple estimates.
From who?
Yeah, I can give you that information.
Bit of a sinkhole last week, and I got a chance to look at it up close and in person, and see what work was being done there. I met with a foreman who gave me a little bit of information. 6 more months of the state fixing that hole. It's a lot of time, and they don't know if it'll be even longer than that. I have pictures of it if anyone wants to see after the meeting. Based on how the sinkhole happened, it is very close to the highway, as people may know. They dug 20 feet down, and there's a lot of wires that go through that sink. And in terms of that street, what the foreman mentioned to me, which is interesting, and I think we all knew this at the last meeting, there is a potential for more smaller sinkholes in that area. So that is something that goes along with the day-to-day maintenance of the town and the capital projects that we have to keep in mind as we try to do things in a fiscally responsible way. With that in mind, that there will be more work to be done there. Moving this ordinance now to Councilwoman Hyatt's point, maybe it could have been done as its own ordinance right now, but I think this was drafted already, and I guess it could have been done either way. I'm not sure that there's a detriment to doing this way, which is what I wanted to clarify. If there is, then maybe we respond for more work at that spot anyway. So the question is, do we do this this way to get it right now, or do we have to rebond that area later, which we're inevitably going to have to do? There will be bigger capital projects at that sinkhole. It's going to happen there. It's going to happen all over town. Hillside has not done such projects in a long time, so we have to be careful of that. And that's something that I think we all are trying to make sure we keep in mind. If I have the understanding correctly, CFO Jones, is there a detriment to doing it this way, or the town attorney to making the ordinance work this way and then responding again later?
There is no detriment. No detriment at all.
Is there a detriment to doing it the other way?
Again, I just didn't want to do another ordinance for an additional $4 million.
And this is something that we continue to do. We could do things cleanly, simply, and with a nice, wonderful auditor. It's 2 separate situations. He just sat here and explained, we'll be responsible. He said that. But we're still considering, instead of giving the library its own ordinance, moving this one. Why? There's no justifiable reason, not financially. There's no reason. Just because it's going to be related to the debt ratio, and this, they could have had a bond for the library done. It could have been done. I don't understand why we keep commingling stuff, because it's not necessary.
Any other questions from the council?
Would like for it to be amended for the ordinance, with the exception of utilizing the Ramsey Avenue fund.
Banana,
No.
Fierstein,
Yes.
Hyatt,
No.
Joyner,
Yes.
Saxon,
No.
Rios,
Yes.
Epps.
Yes. R 24-074, authorizing tax refund overpayment. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
For the House Music Festival, 02405, we're supposed to be doing the second reading.
The second reading was not tonight, and I still have to look at, the second reading is supposed to be the next meeting.
The next meeting?
Yes, if I put it back on there, but that still has some
If you
concerns.
put it back on?
If it goes back on the agenda, that's still in right now, because the concerns haven't met with the committee as of yet. Haven't met with the committee as of
Oh, we had a
We met, but as I told you, I had to be again, we will be again. But the ordinance is not due to come back on tonight. It's due to come on next week, the public hearing.
You don't have to use that tone, I know.
I didn't realize I had a tone. Authorizing tax refund overpayment. You had a motion, got a second. Any questions from the council members? No questions? Roll call. Sorry, Councilwoman Banana.
What is the dollar amount for the refund?
$5,705.89.
And is that to one homeowner?
On one block and lot, yes.
Banano,
Yes.
Fierstein,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes.
Joyner,
Yes.
Saxon,
Yes.
Rios,
Yes.
X.
Yes. R24
Motion passed.
$98,000, 21 cents, $21.29. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes.
Joyner,
Yes.
Saxon,
Yes.
Rios,
Yes.
X.
Yes.
Motion carried.
R24-076, authorizing the emergency budget appropriation for the total sum of $175.04. Allen Luke. Need a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions?
Quick question. Is this paying, are we paying this out right now, or is this paid over time? The severance pay?
It's up to the employee.
Could be a lump sum,
Yes,
right after this passing.
correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Banano,
Yes.
Fierstein,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes.
Joyner,
Yes.
Saxon,
Yes.
Rios,
Yes.
X.
Yes.
Motion passes.
R24-078, authorizing application of a grant award for the Rutgers Equity Alliance for Community Health Reach Community Academic Grants Program. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions from the council members? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Banano,
Yes.
Fierstein,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes.
Joyner,
Yes.
Saxon,
Yes.
Rios,
Yes.
X.
Yes.
Motion carried.
R24-079, authorizing acceptance of a grant award from the Rutgers Equity Alliance for Community Health Reach Community Academic Grant Program and the amount of $19,500. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions?
Real quick, Councilman.
Councilman first thing?
Just so I understand, from the little research I did on this, this is so that there are studies done for the health of people that are smoking or looking to do smoking cessation.
That's correct, and it's through the senior center.
Do we know how effective the program is? How many people use it? Is it 20 that I see?
Oh, the
Still getting it? No? Better? Okay, better? Okay. My understanding is that this program, this 19,500, is to help people that want smoking cessation programs, and it's done through the senior center. I was just curious how effective this is, how many people come through for this program.
Actually, the program hasn't started yet, even though the grant application was approved through Rutgers REACH program for January 1st, we have not started the program yet. But it's just to, actually, it's not just for smoking and tobacco ceasing sensation, it's also for mental, because it affects the African American community. So it's just to make sure they're aware of what the effects are. And we will have a program on April the 27th, I believe it is. It's going to be a minority health initiative, and it will be introduced at that time.
This is the first time we've had this grant?
That particular grant, yes. We had a grant 2 years ago, similar to this grant. It was regarding COVID, just to make sure seniors understood, the complications of COVID.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the emergency budget appropriation for grant award from the Rutgers Equity Alliance for the Community Health Reach Community Academic Grant Program in the amount of $19,500? I get a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Banano,
Yes.
Fierstein,
Yes.
Hyatt,
Yes.
Joyner,
Yes.
Saxon,
Yes.
Rios,
Yes.
X.
Yes.
Motion carries.
R24-081, authorizing a hire of entry-level law enforcement officer pursuant to NJSA 11A4-1-3. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions from the council?
And consider this because civil services hasn't, provided any candidates A couple of years ago, the council also approved the ordinance for the alternate youth program.
Right.
So she didn't give an exact number, but we do have some anticipated, retirements. So, I would say maybe 10, but
I think we need to narrow it down so we'll know exactly how many officers, because we need to compare it to the budget. In addition to that, what's gonna be the starting salary?
the starting salary is the base salary, I don't have that number in front of me.
So is there any kind of way that we can incorporate that information into the resolution when we're trying to pass these resolutions?
Well, we're not seeking to hire currently. She will be going to a law enforcement recruitment, exam, but they might be like candidates, but they still have to go through the same process. But currently, we know we will be hiring, but right now, with regards to the resolution, that number is not required, because this is just enabling us to hire someone that has not taken civil service exam.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure I read into the record from our legislative research officer that sentence this. It says a municipal or county police department may hire a person exempt from the requirement to take an examination for an entry-level law enforcement officer position by the governing body authorized such.
So I was given a copy of the nepotism policy. I don't believe that it's been adopted by the governing body of the township. I'm actually reviewing it right now, and I can comment on it after I've reviewed it. I understand that it was previously drafted by one of my predecessors, and I understand that the former chief also adopted, or at least drafted a copy of it today. I'll review it and I'll comment on it at a future time.
So would it be fair to say, if, because you didn't research it, that we kind of put in the department of tourism?
I don't think that's fair to say, but I'll review
That ordinance as well. So Mr. Antilles is reviewing the nepotism policy that his predecessor had worked along with the former chief to adhere to the requirements of civil service for the alternate youth program.
And my last question would be, with the hiring process, who would be the point of contact that would be doing the selection?
The is the mayor, and she makes the appointments.
Councilwoman Hyde?